What if you could go back in time and talk to yourself and tell yourself things all about what you've learned, what to avoid and what not to do? This is a question I love to frame in different ways and ask guests as they come in and try to teach us or share with us what they've done, how they've accomplished what they've accomplished, and where or how they were able to get where they are today. Well, today I'm going to take 5 of those and share them with you for myself, and hopefully we'll all learn something together and we'll be better for it. Let's have a think on that.
Hello and welcome to the 145 Rural Podcast, where we are here to strengthen music careers and communities one song at a time. And now here's your host, Jacob Wing. Yay!
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. And today I just want to talk about some things that I would tell myself if I was able to get myself a nice DeLorean with a nice flux capacitor in the back, head to the past and talk to myself and tell myself what's going to be coming up, what I can learn from, how to do better, how to achieve more. So those things are the things I'm going to share with you today. Before we get into that, I want to thank everybody for watching the episode before this and all the subscribers that joined us and all of that. Thank you guys so much. Welcome. We're glad to have you with us. There's a lot of people that joined for gear and to see all those kind of things, reviews and those things. But these are the episodes where you can walk away with a real kernel of knowledge, something, a nugget in your brain that's just going to seed itself and blossom. And if there's just one thing you take away from an episode like this, and it makes a difference and it makes you think differently or take things on differently, then it's so worth it. And I hope you all join me with this. So let's get right into it. And as we do that, if you haven't subscribed, please take a second, subscribe or give us a like, whatever it is that can help us with the algorithm, help us grow. Those things have really been helping and we appreciate you doing it. Thanks, guys. You're the best. Well, let's get right into it. First thing I want to talk about seems very straightforward, but I really wish I could just sit down, look myself in the eye and say, business skills are going to be just as important to you as any musical skill you acquire. And this seems really ridiculous, and it feels like somebody who's like going to be focusing on the wrong thing. It feels like an old man that you just say, yeah, it's just because you didn't make it, just because you don't understand, you don't get it. There are a great handful of people that we can all reference and say they just had the skills and it took them to the top. They rode that wave to the very echelon of being a musician, an artist, an engineer, a producer, whatever it is you want to reference. But those are so few and far between. Those are literally those winning lotto tickets that none of us have. So it doesn't matter where you're coming at this. Are you an audio engineer? Are you a musician just getting your start? Have you been playing music and gigs for years and years and years? I guarantee you, you should probably learn more of the business side if you haven't. And if you have, that's what's probably garnered a lot of your success moving forward. And when we say the business side of things, it really applies to everything. When it comes down to how much should I be charging for gigs? How should I be collecting my money? Should I be saving it in a bank account? Should I be paying taxes on it? All those things you should know and really spend some time and learn about them. Many other things you don't think about, forming an LLC, forming a band group account, how to distribute money, how to take care of all of these things are very, very important. On the other end, if you're being like a producer or an audio engineer, you're running a studio, you're being hired to create music for somebody or with somebody, you need to know what to charge, when to charge it, how, when do you get the money? All those kind of things are extremely important. And we have a number of videos on our channel dedicated to that. There's many of them on YouTube. But you should really take a little bit of time to develop your business skills so that it really helps you going forward. And I say this as if I sat down across from myself and just said, it's going to be the hardest thing that you do. It's going to be something that you drag your feet on, and you can't do that. You need to learn how much you're worth, how much to charge. A big part for me, if we're just being completely open and I'm sitting myself, you are horrible. You are horrible about staying in the ballpark of what you say you're worth. If I charge something, I'm very good about saying, well, maybe that's too much. Maybe I'll discount it. Maybe I'll go out of my way to save some money. And I do that for my first clients for my studio. I am great about giving the first time discounts, and I believe in that wholeheartedly because I know they're going to come back, and it works almost 90% of the time where they come back and we work together again. But that should really be the end of it. At that point, it's established what it's worth, and stop giving discounts, stop giving away money because you're worth it. And if you charge less, that's what people are going to think you're worth. This goes for going out and playing music and gigging. What you say you're worth, next time they're going to expect to pay you that much. If you haven't advanced, if you don't have a full band, if it was just you, and you haven't expanded anything, you have no reason to charge more money, that's what you're worth to them. So just make sure that when you start to establish these prices, as you start to establish exactly what your skills and what you're sharing and what you're putting out in the world to make money off of, know what that number is and stick to it. And it's all part of that business side. Make sure that you're taking the time to invest in your ability, your business knowledge, and of course, be confident about what you're worth. Now that we've got out of the way and I lectured myself and I said hit the books basically, the next thing I want to talk about is something that in life I wish had come to me sooner. And it's one of those things I probably even get to said it to myself, and it would have taken me years to understand what I meant by it and how to absorb it and what to do with this knowledge. But anybody younger, even if you're not, anybody at this age, this one could be one of the biggest ones you take away from this. And I saw another version of it recently in one of my favorite shows, and I might lose some of you here, and that's fine, but Bluey, I absolutely love that show, and it's so deep, and there's so many levels to that show, but they usually have 7-minute episodes, and they're just quick and fun and make you happy. But this one episode, they did a 28-minute episode, and it was called The Sign. And that's not completely important, but the important part about it is a story in there that I've always loved, but it really resonated with me how they used it. And it's an old Chinese proverb, and I'm going to share it with you today just in case you haven't seen that episode or you've never heard it, but we'll just go right into it. And the proverb starts out with an old farmer who has been working his land for years. And one day, as he's working the field, his workhorse, his favorite horse that he's had for many years, just runs off and leaves. All his neighbors, everybody around him comes up to him and says, "We're so sorry. We can't even state how horrible, how devastating this would be to us. I mean, this is just world ending. We're so sorry." And the farmer looks at them and just says, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returns, and he actually brought some friends with him. He found some other horses, some wild horses, brought 3 back with him, and now they're all there. The neighbors gather around again and say, "This is such great luck. I can't believe that happened. You should be so happy." Without a smile or a frown, that farmer looks at them and says, "Maybe." The next day, he has a young son, probably in the teenage years. He comes out to help him as he does from time to time, and he sees these new wild horses and grabs one and is going to tame it for them so they can use it and put it to work. He jumps up and starts to ride it, falls off, and breaks his leg. So now the farmer's on his own working the fields by himself without his son. The neighbors come over again, surround him, and say, "I can't believe how unfortunate this is. What bad luck." The farmer turns to them with the exact same expression and says, "Maybe." The next day, word gets around that war has broken out in their province. The military shows up at the door, and they are drafting. They are taking recruits. They are taking the young to go to war. They show up and they look over his son, take a look at his leg and say, "That's a broken leg. He's not going to be able to fight for us. He'll be useless. We're going to move on to the next house." Everybody comes over again and says how fortunate he was that his son broke his leg. And he just turns to them and says, "Maybe." The point of this proverb is very deep, and it's to say that we get stuck in the moment so much of saying what is good, what is bad, what's going to break me, what's going to lift me up, what's going to move me forward, what's going to hold me back. And the point of everything is that we don't know. We'd love to say that we know everything that's happening. We love to say that we understand cause and effect and how it's going to help you in the future, but you just never know. In the show, Calypso, who is the teacher for the kids, who sits down and tells them this story, they just say, "We'll see." The farmer says, "We'll see." And they were going to call the episode, "We'll See." I've adapted that so much into my own life of somebody shows up like, I want to do a full album. I want to get full production. I want to pay top dollar to get this out there, and I want to book you for this many days or for this whole month and get things done. And where it used to be, I would jump up and get excited. I'd start planning what I'm going to do with that money. I'd count those chickens before they hatched. I'm going to spend it on this new piece of gear. I'm going to be able to expand and do this. After years and years of doing that sort of thing, just being in the moment and saying, I'm excited, I'm devastated, I'm excited, I'm devastated. Now it's just easy to say, we'll see. If it happens, it happens. Sure, here's a great quote from me. Here's what I can do for you. If you're ready to book, here's the days that I'm available. We'll see. If you do, that's great. Then I'll book them. Same thing. I won't get excited. If they show up, that's great. If not, I've got my deposit. That's fine. All those kind of things. But it's just the more that you can incorporate in this your life and be patient and just say, we'll see. It might be good. It might be bad. But keep doing what you do. Keep trying to reach the goals you're trying to reach with a patient mindset.
Hi there, and welcome to the ad break. We're just going to take a moment to let everybody know about our community of growing members, and if you'd like to be a part of that, just look at the info below and there will be a click there for an email sign up to join in and get your voice heard. As well, if you're enjoying this content, please join our Patreon at patreon.com/145rural. There you can join any of our groups, and you can add to the discussion of what topics we will choose. It will help you and hopefully future members of our groups, as well as join monthly Q&As and other such benefits. Again, that's patreon.com/145rural, and we look forward to seeing you there. Now, back to that regularly scheduled episode, and enjoy that content. Thanks again.
All right, now that story time's over, let's move on to number 3. And this one took me far too long to get wrap my head around it. And definitely one of those personalities where I would sit down to myself, again, across myself and say, I know you love living in the moment. I know you love just figuring things out, get your hands on something, figure out how it works, and go from there. Very hands-on, very visually a learning kind of person. But I'm never very mindful of what I'm doing or how I'm getting to where I get. And that's what I would tell myself. You need to be very mindful of how you're achieving the results that you want. And what do I mean about that in music and with audio? The first great example I can give you is when I first started to learn to mix music and to edit it and to form it into a great song. What processes, what to use, what are the techniques, what plugins, what gear am I using, all those kind of things. It would always just be, I want this end result. I'd get to the song or how it sounds good enough, and you move on from there, which is great. But I never was able to document what I was doing. What steps am I going through to get here? And at some point, it just became like, why am I reinventing the wheel every time I do this with a new mix or a new client or a new song for myself, whatever it is? And I'm just wasting time. And at some point, the biggest fix to this is just presets itself, of course. Presets are on there for a reason. So if you're using a plugin, that's just perfect. Like, I know I like this sound. I know it works. Instead of me fiddling with the knobs or trying to figure out, this sounds good, that doesn't, make a preset, be able to work from that as your bass line, conform to whatever song it is, whatever genre, tweak it a little bit. But at least as long as you have that preset ready to go, you don't have to bang your head against the wall and reinvent that wheel. Just one of the main examples, if I'd just been mindful of how I got there. Same thing, I do the same thing with songwriting. I had to figure out how I was writing songs, how I was getting songs I liked, songs that felt weak or were missing something. Why was that happening? I broke down a structure on how to get there, and this kept incorporating it. And, songs came faster, and I was able to pick out faster of like, oh, this can be something great. I can develop this. Oh, this is trash. Move on. There's been a couple where it's like, that's fun to play. It's a great exercise for my instrument I'm playing, but that's a warm-up exercise now. We're not going to record that. All those kind of things. But now that I know how I get to where I need to get with where the song needs to be fully structured, it's going to sound great. It's been developed. It has layers to it. It becomes simpler every single time. And also, I don't pass up when I hear something and say, oh, that could be something I know right away. Get this recorded. Make sure you have a version of it somewhere when you're ready to develop this more. But those are just two great examples of being mindful and how to get where you need to get. And when you have success, make sure you can find repeatable parts of it to use those going forward. Could have saved so much time and effort. And I just hope that's the same for you, where you could start to be more mindful and develop processes, going forward. Number 4 is a big one, especially for anybody who is an introvert or just in this modern society where you feel like you don't like being around other humans. But networking, making connections with others is what's going to matter most in the end. And this one is a very tough one to take, especially if you're a know-it-all or if you're one of those people that's just like, I'm the best, it doesn't matter, I'll just get to where I get. I'll use people, I'm just going to bring them in, I'll use their talents, but it's really me that's the focus, whatever it may be. You don't want to be that human being. And in the end, when it's all said and done, if you get a chance to look back and see what you've accomplished, you might look at the songs or the music you've created and be like, that's great. But I guarantee you most meaningful is going to be the time you spent with other people, the music you made with other people, all those kind of things, the meaningful connections that you were able to take on and build a relationship and learn from them and have them learn from you are going to be what matters most in the end. The easiest way, just to, if you are having trouble doing this, find a way to collaborate with somebody who's doing something close to you. Get out of your protective turtle shell and get out there and just find a reason to make something with them. It doesn't matter what it is. Make a video, make a song together, work on a project, whatever it is. But the more that you get out, the more that you incorporate working with somebody else, the better you're going to feel, the more you're going to start to open up and find reasons to be out there and collaborating and networking with other people. The last and number 5, the one that I would really love to tell myself, and I guarantee you that you should probably go back and tell yourself if you get the chance, and you're a little bit older, or you have a little bit of experience, and you've seen some things, you've done some things, and you've gotten good at what you can do. There's a important thing we always forget, and that's to enjoy the journey. And I would sit down and just wring my own neck and tell myself the exact thing of, yeah, you're able to do all these things. You're able to learn all these great things. You're able to repeat and do all these amazing things, create amazing things that you didn't know you were going to be able to do. But did you enjoy the process of learning to do it? Did you enjoy the process of getting better at it and reaching that height? And sometimes it's just very, very easy to forget that. And I noticed this personally in my own journey of just learning guitar and expanding your knowledge. The older you get, the more that you've worked with this and you've hit that wall of, this is as good as I can get. I don't know how to get any better. I'm missing something. There's a scale I'm missing. There's chords I don't know. There's something wrong where everybody sounds this way and good and I don't. And as a guitar player, you go through this so many times. It's literally the guitar journey. And so you get these breakthroughs where it's like a light bulb explodes in your brain and you're just, I finally understand. And there's that moment of just endorphins rushing through your brain and your body, and you're so happy, and you can't wait to practice it more and work it out and keep doing the same thing. And honestly, it's the best. Same thing when you go out and play music for the first time with a band or a group or other people, and it just starts, now we say it's vibing. You're starting to get that feeling of, I get this, and I'm loving this moment. I hope it never ends. This is so great. And it's too busy of trying to be cool or be out there or look good or sound good, but you're not taking the time to sit there, enjoy the moment, love what you're doing, loving this, that this is even a thing that we can do as a being on this planet, then you're kind of missing the whole point of everything. So the exact same thing I'll say to anybody that comes into my studio and they pay me to either make them an EP or a full album. I will take a little time to tell them to make sure we're going to find a way to take pictures and to make some videos and to make sure that you're sitting back and you're just enjoying this whole experience. This is going to be a capture of time in your life for songs you were writing, how you were feeling, how you were expressing yourself, and just enjoying and reflecting on how you're doing it, what you're able to do now. It's just so important. So that's 5 things I would love to go back and tell myself. I hope some of them, click in your brain and resonate, and you can do the same thing or start trying some new things or maybe even a new mindset. We'll see. Give it a shot. And please, if any of these helped you, if there's even one thing that resonated with you, please give us a like, give us a subscribe if you aren't subscribed to us yet. Those things really matter. But We'll see you guys on that next one, all right? Bye.